Okay. So about 4+ years ago, I decided that I wanted to get into triathlon. Quickly realized I didn't really know how to swim properly. So after my first race, I decided I was going to go out and buy some swim lessons and learn how to swim, which I guess gave me a little bit of a base of swimming. But every single time I would work out or race, it was a complete disaster. I didn't have enough I guess tools or understanding of how to really swim, that I was just basically surviving swims. And then I decided I needed to have a personal coach that would tweak my or give me a better stroke. Again, I tried multiple people. It just seemed like they were all telling me the same thing, but I wasn't apparently doing it in the water, or I didn't have the capability of doing it in the water because I just completely did not understand what they wanted me to do. So I felt like a lot of things failed, and I had turned to total immersion swimming, which seems to be touted as a fail-free type of swimming that anybody could kind of float along and do this easily. And especially since I was ramping up to the Ironman distance, I thought, wow, that would be great. I tried that, and it got me through some races a little calmer, but again, at the back of the pack, probably beyond the back of the pack. And after last year's, not 2020, but 2019's Lake Placid Ironman, of coming out well behind the back of the pack, I had it. So this year, I decided I was going to do something about the swim. And yes, when you end up drinking like half the lake as you're swimming, and you know that you're pretty much dead last in your age group, that's really, really hard to let go of when you're on the bike for an extremely long period of time. And all you can obsess about really is the fact that the swim went so bad, and that, you're just playing catch up, and it's not fun, and your stomach feels horrible because of all the water you ingested. And it doesn't end there either. You carry it onto the run. It's the whole race. It would dominate my race. And I was tired of that feeling, thinking, things could go really well if I could just swim. I always said that if I could just swim, triathlon would be my sport. I am positive. I captured it on my watch. I made sure that I kept an eye on the pool clock, and the lifeguard actually came over and said something to me because he couldn't believe the difference just actually in that week, going into my fourth week, the gains that I had made, that he couldn't believe the difference in the style of my swimming. I would say it was 100% technical. My technical ability in the water, my technical understanding or knowledge in the water was zero until I started working with you. I would say that everything I learned in the first couple of weeks, the first 2 weeks, took time for me to understand. But your explanations, your videos and explanations of position and placement, and what I really like is the way you put out the different ways to think about it. So when I'm in the water, high elbow, I can't tell you how many times I've heard high elbow, and I didn't really understand high elbow. And then you would give a dry land exercise that I was like, oh, wait, I've been doing that wrong on the dry land too. Yeah. And then when I would correct it, it was just a completely different position in the water. But I think because I did do the total immersion, your custom stroke is so different from that even just the first couple of weeks of working on a couple things, I'm not nearly close. This is what amazes me. I'm not even that close in doing everything right, and I could see this improvement because of how wrong I was doing things.
Yeah.
I never understood that before I started working with you at all. I just thought everybody was swimming the same way. And I did a lot of that looking on YouTube. I mean, I was on YouTube every single day. I was so obsessed with like, there's got to be some trick here that I'm just not seeing and that I need to do. But to have my own stroke for my body type, for my strengths, that was another thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't kicking at all. I mean, with TI, you're not really kicking much, and you're only doing the 2-beat kick, so you're hardly using that kick. But to start kicking for the first time and even understanding how to kick correctly, yeah, learning that technique and having that be custom me. Because in the beginning, you told me when you first saw my assessment, I have to say my husband laughed because he listened to the assessment, and you're like, well, I could fix 30 things here, but we'll go with the top 6. You were so positive about it, because I was thinking to myself, I'm a disaster, and you were so positive about it. But you said that my kick was my strength, and I would have never said that, and I didn't believe you. Mm-hmm. And because that was week 1, and I'm just like, yeah, my kick is not my strength. These kick sets are kicking my butt. So I think having a custom stroke is huge, because it's something that fits me. I'm not a Michael Phelps. I'm not going to be a Michael Phelps. I mean, like, I'm not going to be 6'4" or whatever he is. But to know that I can have the right tools and learn something that matches my body type and everything is a huge difference from anything else that I've learned. And my wildest dreams thought that was possible.
Oh,
I was going backwards, really. I feel every year I was getting worse, because I don't know if I was over analyzing, over obsessing. And like you said, I was on YouTube way too much. I was, hoping for that golden ticket of, learning something that I could somehow teach myself in the water. And that wasn't good. I would tell them to book that call ASAP. I'm already kicking myself that I didn't book it earlier, that I would be so much further along in improving my swim for come race season this May. So I would say book it now. I mean, I just, like I said before, I tried a lot of things, and it's an investment when you try a lot of things, and I just feel like they all failed, and they were all the same. And this isn't, it's not the same. It's, you have a unique way of coaching and of explaining how to do things that really help reinforce what you're doing in the water, and just learning your knowledge of swimming. Even with all the work that I did with other people and trying to swim, I didn't come out with any knowledge. I just came out with a lot more of, I can't put my arm there, I guess. I don't understand it, or I don't, my timing's off. Is it the timing, or, even with pushing down, like I had one person telling me, you're pushing the water. She's watching me and she's like, you're pushing the water, you're pushing. I'm like, okay, then what do I do not to push the water? And you explain all that, like some videos I'll watch, and you'll be like, well, if you do this, you're going to be pushing down, right? Instead of doing what you're supposed to do. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I did. Like that's exactly what I did. And it's so much easier to correct when you also have the knowledge of knowing what you did wrong. Otherwise, you're still grasping at things. But